Back in our LA days, Melissa and I were babysitting our godkids, Josh and Ashley, and we were having a great time hitting the balloon through the house. There was a balloon game, and I would later learn from Bluey that this game is called Keepy Uppy. And we were watching some Frozen. It was 2013, and eating chicken nuggets. So it was getting late. And Ashley, gosh, how old would she have been at that time? 6 or 7. And she leaned against the TV cabinet at one point. She closed her eyes and she sank to the living room floor. And then she announced, "I'm just a kid." And of course, from that day forward, Melissa and I have adopted this statement to encapsulate any moment of general exhaustion or delirium or absolute depletion, or as we call it in our household, for me, 9 p.m. So the last few weeks in our house have been really challenging, and we've been held up by praying parents, by friends bringing dinner over, brothers taking days off work and taking boys to school, and aunties getting grocery gift cards and movie vouchers. And there's been a lot of evidence for really caring community when we weren't quite convinced that we'd cracked the whole we live in New England now residency test. It takes a little while to dig in New England. So our friend Jesse brought us not only a quality quiche, but fresh bread and brownies and blueberry muffins and fudge cookies and pumpkin chocolate chip loaf and wine. So Jesse just got his bake at home for money permit. So once he starts shipping out the goods from Sherburne, Mass, you will be the first to know. But yeah, there have been some curveballs of late, and we've been navigating them, and there have been many "I'm just a kid" moments. So only I've noticed, especially when I'm tired, that for me, I don't say this with a lot of understanding of my human limits sometimes. And in fact, the more depleted I have felt over these last few weeks, it's been really fascinating to notice how my inner conversation digs really quickly into that familiar ground of self-criticism. So it's not nice. I mean, I just notice, yeah, he's not kind. And he says things like, "Oh yeah, nice, Dan. Remember how you said you wanted to focus on understanding and kindness today? Do you hear how you just talked to your kid?" Or "Good things folks are bringing you dinner. You can't even stay on top of the laundry that's in the washer right now." Or "Oh, all those official plans and schedules you structured in your syllabus, and a week into school and you're already behind. Are you really going to follow through on that?" It's really withering. And even going through them or telling you about them, I'm just like, oh, if that doesn't, spike your cortisol. But when those statements are nattering away in my head, they all converge in this big blob, this cacophony of sound. And as my friend Michael Pereira always used to say, that's so not healing. So all of that starts to chatter away in my brain. And then usually that'll get followed up with, "Oh my gosh, listen to yourself. You're really being not kind to yourself." So I'm not being kind to myself. I'm criticizing myself, and then I'm criticizing myself for criticizing myself. I don't know if that's familiar to you. So I don't know why some of us are really good at kicking ourselves when we're down. But for a lot of us, and maybe all of us, this critical voice emerged very early as a protector. And so maybe criticism from the big folk in your early life came with a feeling of being rejected or isolated. There are fewer things that are more painful to a human being than that feeling of being ostracized. So maybe your little brilliant kid brain figured out, if I pre-criticize myself, then maybe I'll avoid all the pain and fear that comes with chastisement from the big people. I'm even remembering right now a voice lesson in college when I sang the song and then I immediately listed all the things that I needed to work on after finishing it. So while a lot of my assessment was pretty accurate, I couldn't even let myself be a student. I couldn't let myself absorb teaching and be taught. And even now, I flinch and have to take a deep breath before I read student evaluations. I mean, mind you, I've had some cruel and unfair offloads in some of those before, but the body keeps the score, right? I wrote before in my blog, and I've talked about this on YouTube, about when I encouraged you to ask future you for advice. So future you is a really terrific guide. And I also remember that today me was future me when I was 8. And 8-year-old me needs some love and affection from today Dan. Yeah, I'm just a kid. So the thing is, when we are just a kid, we don't know that. We have no idea how little we are. We believe we're these gravitational centers. And if there's a hurricane spinning around us rather than an orderly orbit, we're prone to blame ourselves. It's got to be our fault, right? We don't know that we are just a kid. So today me can look with curiosity at the part of me that's the automatic, harsh critic, the exactor, and say, how old do you think I am? And if I listen, the inquisitor will answer 7 or 8. Then I'll just let that part of me, the one that jumps to self-criticism, I'll let that part look at me and ascertain that I am, in fact, 46. Oh. Then 46-year-old me can put an arm around 7-year-old me and say, you're just a kid, Dan. And I'm going to take care of you. I love you. You get to learn. You get to mess up. You get to say sorry and repair. And you get to know there's a big person who's here to hold you if you need to cry. There's a part of you that's still just a kid. And today you, who's made it all this way to watching this video, can reach out to that kid with compassion. And you can say, I'm here. You may need to take several slow breaths first before you get there, but this helps. And it's only when that kid gets the message that they are safe with and loved by you that the childlike trust that's necessary for playful storytelling that we need when we sing songs can bubble up like a root beer float. So give that a go today. Yeah. Past you is saying what my 4-year-old son is so good at saying when I get all crusty in Struggle Town with him. He goes, I want a hug. And I'll stop and I hug him and we move through. And I know that is available for you too today. Another thing that he said recently, he looked at me in the morning and he said, "Daddy, I'm a treasure." And I said, "Yes, you are, sweetie pie. And so are you." God only made one you, one mathematically implausible and statistically mind-blowing, miraculous you. And I believe that folks need to hear the story only you can sing. So love much and have a good whatever part of the day you're in. All right? Take care. Bye.